Welcome to Explain America. I'm your host, Kyle Becker. We have a massive ruling out of the Ninth Circuit, and it is a Biden judge siding with the Trump administration on birthright citizenship. And this could have implications ahead of a big case that's heading to the Supreme Court. But before we get into this, please like, share, and comment Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Now, this is a case that is quite interesting because it sets up a Supreme Court battle that is taking shape right now. The Ninth Circuit, which is not known to be pro-Trump at all, has issued a ruling that clarifies something with the birthright citizenship case that a lot of legal observers are keeping an eye on. There was a man who was born in New York who lived and worked there for nearly 70 years, and he isn't a birthright citizen because his father had diplomatic immunity the year he was born, the Ninth Circuit said. So Moncada, his name's Roberto Moncada, his father was working for the Nicaragua's permanent mission to the United Nations in 1950. So it's interesting because Judge Anthony Johnstone, a Biden appointee, made it clear that this does not automatically give you birthright citizenship just because you happen to be born on American soil. Now, this sets up very well for the United States versus Casa Inc. case that is going to the Supreme Court. And the Trump administration is going to try to argue that U.S. law, and particularly the 14th Amendment, circumscribes or limits what qualifies you to be a U.S. citizen. So really briefly, if you go to the 14th Amendment, which was passed in 1868, it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside. So that clause in the middle, saying subject to the jurisdiction thereof, means that it excludes children of non-citizens, particularly illegal aliens or temporary visitors, from automatic citizenship. The landmark case to keep an eye on is United States versus Wong Kim Ark. It affirmed birthright citizenship for a child born to the U.S. to a Chinese immigrant parents who were legal residents. However, critics argue that that ruling is narrow because it applies only to children of lawful permanent residents, not to anyone who comes into the United States legally or illegally. So proposals like the Birthright Citizenship Act of 2009 aim to limit citizenship to children with at least one parent who is a U.S. citizen. So there has been attempts in the past for Congress to pass a law to clarify all of this. But the Trump administration is seeking more time in federal court as it considers how to bring a challenge to birthright citizenship before the Supreme Court. So the United States, it is trying to, through legal maneuvers, such as even an executive order, the number is 14160, is titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. The order denies citizenship at birth where the mother is unlawfully present and the father is not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. So the point is that there is a lot of legal work being done on this situation right now. That hasn't happened in a long time. And you might see birthright citizenship being very limited to those who are lawful permanent residents, those who have special visas, but not just to anyone and everyone who just shows up in the United States. Because there is some sort of precedent, because if you're a diplomat and you have diplomatic immunity to the United States, in other words, immunity to the laws of the United States, then that meant that your children did not automatically have citizenship in the United States. So there are precedents for limiting citizenship. And it will be interesting to see what the Supreme Court does because it has issued a lot of blockbuster rulings in the recent history. And part of it is because Trump appointees, some obviously not always reliable for conservatives, have done things like the Dobbs decision, which sent Roe v. Wade back and to be a state matter and not a federal matter. And, that was really a shocking ruling because it just broke from the norms in the past. So we could see the Supreme Court put the genie back in the bottle, so to speak, when it comes to birthright citizenship And that would be a massive win. And so to see a Biden judge back Trump up in court, well, it's an encouraging sign. It's a breath of fresh air just to have that clarity heading into a big Supreme Court fight. So this has been Kyle Becker with Explain America. Please weigh in with your thoughts. We appreciate hearing from you.